get more analysis on this now from Michael Oren, who is the former Israeli ambassador to the U.S., and he joins us live from Tel Aviv. It's a pleasure to have you on the program. Now, we're witnessing a first happen in Israel's history with this 15-judge Supreme Court session. What do you think the outcome will be?
Good evening. Good to be with you. I'm an historian by training, and I always say I have enough problems predicting the past. I'm not a prophet. I have a gut feeling that the Supreme Court will try to avoid what could amount to something like a civil war. It may not be a civil war with shooting, but it would be the unraveling of Israeli society, where the army, the police, the Mossad would have to choose to which institution it will remain loyal, either to the elected Knesset or to the Supreme Court. So far, most indications are that all those branches of government, certainly the security establishment, would go with the Supreme Court and not with the government, but it will really divide the country. I always appreciate the remarks of my friend Mohammed Al-Qasim, and I agree with everything he said. But yes, there are 100,000 people protesting. They've protested for 36 straight Saturdays. But there are 10 million people in Israel, and that means like 9.8 million people are not protesting. So the government has its supporters as well. And so the lines could be very deeply and painfully drawn. My feeling is, it's a feeling, that the Supreme Court will try to sidestep this by saying it really doesn't like the Knesset's law, but it may not be empowered to overturn a basic law, which in Israel has a semi-constitutional status.
Right, and if it does work in Benjamin Netanyahu's favor, how would that change the political dynamics of the country? Because these Israelis that are protesting these judicial reforms are saying that they're essentially being stripped of their democracy.
And the people who are protesting for the reforms say that they are trying to make Israel more democratic because the Supreme Court judges are not elected and the Knesset is. There's no way that there's, I think, a preponderance of right on either side. But keep in mind that the people who are protesting not just the reform. They're protesting the composition of this government, which includes very radical rightists, even racists. It includes a great number of ultra-Orthodox rabbis and politicians who don't serve in the army, aren't contributing to the economy. There are many reasons that people are out protesting. The reform is probably the principal one, but is not the only one. And these divisions grow very, very deep within Israeli society. I think that the Prime Minister, if I could just add, I think he wants one thing and one thing only. I don't think he's particularly committed to this reform. He wants peace with Saudi Arabia. He wants that to be the crown and the jewel of his legacy, and he wants to leave political life on a very big high.
What would this mean for Palestinians in the country?
Well, the Palestinians are playing it very smartly, I must say. You know, they sort of sat out the Abraham Accords. They protested the Abraham Accords and didn't make anything out of it, didn't gain anything. Now the Palestinian leadership, I think very smartly, is saying, well, this is going to happen anyway, this peace agreement between Saudi Arabia and Israel. We might as well get something out of it. And they've submitted a list of requests / demands, which to my mind are reasonable. They include Palestinian right to build in Area C of Judea and Samaria, freeze on, say, Jewish construction in those areas, as well as other demands that will certainly be taken very, very seriously, both by the Saudis and by the Americans and by Israeli leaders who will have to somehow deal with a coalition that almost certainly will oppose those concessions.
All right, Michael Oren, thank you so much for being with us here on the NewsHour and sharing that analysis with us.
Good evening.